Well, I know we have some people who are repeat people who come every week to the webinar, but I just wanted to introduce myself for anybody who is new to the webinar. I'm Teresa Tribolette, and I write our weekly blogs, and I manage our social media accounts and do some other things at the company. And part of what I do is do the weekly webinars as well. So this week's webinar is on understanding income demographics and why that's important to you as somebody who attends auctions and somebody who attends auctions as a reseller to earn a living. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Okay, so first of all, what are income demographics? So what these are statistical data of populations. And then you can see below that, that is especially pertaining to a lot of times the average age of the people who live in that area, the income, the education, and so on. And this is really important to you as a reseller for a few different reasons. So to begin with, where does that information come from? A lot of times you hear, if you're fans of some of the storage auction shows, you hear people say, oh, this is a good area. I know, I've done my research. And so sometimes that's just obviously because they live in the area and they're familiar with the area, and they just, based on what they know of the area, they can tell that whether or not it's going to be sort of a good area for auctions. However, there's also a lot of statistical data that's collected that they can research to get that information if they aren't familiar. And so that comes from yearly state and federal taxes, as well as census information. Every few years that's updated, obviously, and then other administrative records that people fill out and participate in any sort of paperwork that people are turning into the government on a regular basis. That all comes together to create this information. Okay. Now, why are these income demographics important to you? Well, they're really important to you for a few different reasons. The first here that I have listed is commercial versus residential, and so a lot of times the commercial areas have a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? They have a lot of product in them. So for example, if you're in a commercial area, a company might have gone out of business and then they store their things in a facility, and then, when they are not able to pay for that rent and they lapse, and the facility goes through the whole process of posting the auction information and the notices and all the legalities involved, you come to the auction, and then you benefit from that. And so there's definitely a difference in what you're going to find in a residential area versus a commercial area. In residential areas, obviously, you're going to find a lot of home goods, furniture, personal effects, things of that nature. And that's not to say that those things are not very lucrative as well sometimes, depending on the area and what's in the specifics of what's inside the unit. But sometimes you'll find a lot more success at commercial properties or in commercial districts. So obviously, this overall just helps you assess the area, and that allows you to assess the unit. The more you know about the area, the more informed you are, the better informed you are to make a bid and to keep bidding, especially if you are then having to compete on a specific unit. It really lets you know when to stop and gives you an idea of what's going to make your bottom line work. And then, it goes without saying, but it just helps you to determine where to attend auctions in general. Certain areas, you're just not going to find as much that you can resell and make a living off of. So that's not to say that sometimes you won't get a wonderful unit, but you just have to, it helps you to determine and kind of look at your odds and decide where the best place for you to be attending auctions at on a regular basis is. Because some areas, you might find that it looks like it will be really profitable for you based on the numbers and the statistics and all the demographics, and then you go, you might not be so successful, and it might not be a great day. So it's always up to chance, but this just helps you to try and be as informed as possible. Okay, so this next little section here is how to find auctions in lucrative areas. And so one thing that I'm going to show you in just a second is hotpads.com. And hotpads.com it's a site that helps list apartments and home rentals, homes for purchase, condos, any sort of real estate. They list all those things, and then they also list a lot of different demographics, and they have these things that are called heat maps that help you to really see for every single state by county what the income is, per capita income, the population density, and household income. And so then per capita income, there's a lot of different terms that I had to learn this week. So the per capita income is known as the mean income as well, and this is just gives you understanding of people in an economic unit such as a country or a county or a city, and it's calculated by taking a measure of all the sources of income and then dividing it by the total population. So that's obviously good information to have as well. And population density is shown by county on the HotPads heat maps, and it uses the U.S. Census data that we talked about a little earlier per square mile to determine the overall density for each county. You can also use heat maps to see median age, median rent, foreclosures per household, and other similar information that gives you a very good basic look. If you're like a quick on the go and you just want a little bit of information, the HotPads heat maps are a great way to just grab and go and pull that information and then be on your way. We're also going to take a quick look at the U.S. Census data website because that is a great way to get more in-depth analysis per county and city. And there's things such as quick facts as well there, but even that is a lot more in-depth, obviously more so than the HotPads heat maps. There's also a lot of, it takes all the data that the census collects and puts it online for you. So all these various data sets that the government pulls together, you can access those pretty easily actually. So I'm going to go ahead and tab out now. Well, Okay. Let's see. It says my screen sharing is paused. Sorry about that. Guess it wants me to show my new application. Okay. Can everybody see my screen again? If somebody wouldn't mind to chat me and let me know if you can see my screen, I'm going to keep going, and then. Okay, great, thanks. Okay, so first we'll go ahead and we'll take a quick look at the HotPads heat maps. And so what you do is you just click on whatever state you want to look for. I'll just take our state, North Carolina, as an example here, and then it's going to pull up these nifty little heat maps, and they're very, it's all color coded. It's all like very specific. It's a really great view. And so then you're going to want to go under this section here to heat maps, and then it lets you choose which heat map you want to look at. So if we, for example, we'll start out with household income. So just a second to pull data. But you can see that it's all color-coded and that there's a legend here at the bottom that tells you, again, based on the U.S. Census data, that shows you the household income per each county and how it's all very specifically color-coded for you, and it's very easy. So here's Asheville, which is where we are, and so on. So it's a really nice little tool to have. And then you can look at the, let's see, we can look at the population density, because the more populated an area is, you know, the more people, the more storage, the more chances you have of doing a little better at that particular option. So again, you can see here all of the census information here again on the legend for you. So they make it very simple. It's really quick. It's really easy. With just a couple of clicks, I was able to find that information that I wanted to look at. So next tab here is the U.S. Census homepage. So this is census.gov. and this just gives you all the information that you could possibly need, and it's very in-depth. So for example, we can do quick facts here, and we'll look at North Carolina again. And then you can see that even their quick facts, it pulls up a lot of information, population and so on, living information, housing units, business facts about that area. And then you can also look at data sets. And this gives even more information. And this is if you're really wanting to study up on, a specific location. This gives you all the information that you need in terms of finding out who lives in that area, the average income, all the population information in terms of that population density that we talked about just a few minutes ago. So this just gives you a lot of data, and it just pulls it up in big, so let's see, we'll look at economic characteristics. And it's taking just a second to pull up here. But again, it just gives you a really in-depth chart. And then obviously if you want to have that sort of records, if you want to be that in-depth, you can always print it and keep it in your files and just always have that data with you whenever. And obviously it compares North Carolina against the United States and all these different categories. So that today is our presentation. We just wanted to give you a little bit of information on what the income demographics are and how they can benefit you. And again, the income demographics, there's a lot of data, and you can get into a lot of sort of finite details, and is a lot to take on. And so that's sort of a snapshot of why it's important and how you can, and a couple of tools that you can use to try to get that information and then keep yourself informed. But obviously, you can do a lot more research sort of separate of the webinars, because there's only so much allotted time, and to try and fit it all in, we just want to give you a quick snapshot view of everything. So if anybody has any questions on our topic today, or on anything else, I can take them now. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see our attendee list. If anybody has a question, if they wouldn't mind to use the raised hand feature so that they can grab my attention, and then I can unmute them specifically so we don't get a lot of static feedback. Or if you want to use the chat tool or the question box, you can do that as well. Okay, let's see. Just take a quick look back at the attendee roster. Okay, I don't see that anybody has any questions. So if you do have any questions, I'm going to tab back in now to our slideshow. Oh, and okay. So again, this is a slide on the U.S. Census data. Not even get there. If you do have questions, you can give us a call at our 800 number. That's 800-353-8417. You can also email us at info@storageunitauctionlist.com. You can also email me directly at teresa.t@storageunitauctionlist.com. You can visit us on the blog, or you can follow us on any of our social media sites. We are pretty much everywhere on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, Tumblr, and we check all those daily and try and get back to you, within a few hours. So if you have any questions, there's lots of avenues, and we love to hear from everybody and hear suggestions on webinar topics and just general questions. So don't hesitate to reach out and talk to us if you have questions or just want to make comments. We just like hearing from everybody. So then for everybody who attends the live webinar, we do give out a coupon code. And so today's coupon code is Demo Webinar 7, and you can use this code to receive 20% off of your first state subscription with Storage Unit Auction List. So I'm going to go ahead and tab out of this again. And before we go ahead and wrap it up, I'm just going to check again to see if anybody has any questions. It looks like a couple of people are asking questions in the question panel, so I'm going to pull that up. Okay, it says, hi, just joining a bit late here in Oregon. Oh, hi, Trish. How are you? We talked about income demographics, and so we do post all of our webinars on the program that we use to record the webinars, so you can get all the data. It's usually posted within 24 hours after the live recording. So we're finishing up today, but you can always, we send that out in an email, and we always post it to the blog. So you can always get that within typically 24 hours, sometimes 48 of the webinar. Does anybody else have any questions? Today's webinar was kind of short, so sorry that you're. What is the blog site? Trish just asked what the blog site was. It is just at storageunitauctionlist.com and /blog in your URL, and then that takes you right to the blog and all of our blogs. So there's about 30 pages worth of blogs, so there are a lot of good information there. We try to keep you updated there in terms of anything that's going on with us. We post the webinar topics there. We post any new features we add, things like that, and then we also post information similar to like what we talk about at the webinars. We just pick topics every week and try and keep you informed with what's going on in the industry. Okay, does anybody else have any other questions? Okay, well, it looks like nobody else has any other questions. So thanks everybody for coming this week. And again, don't hesitate if you have questions to reach out and let us know. Everybody have a good week, and good luck at your auctions this week.